Motorola is expanding its flip phone family with 3 phones in 2025. You have the super expensive Razr Ultra for $1,300. Then you got the middle ground with the Razr Plus at $1,000, and then you have this one, the much cheaper $700 base Motorola Razr 2025. Inevitably, some compromises are made here, but what are they? And should you buy this phone? After using it for a few days, I think there are a few smaller problems with it and one bigger issue that you should know about. But first, credit where credit is due. Motorola makes some super sleek looking flip phones, and even this $700 base Razr feels every bit as nice and premium as the rest of the models. It's relatively thin, it comes in a number of fun colors, and this green color model looks fresh and has a nice texture to it. If you're bored of the monotone colors from Samsung and Apple, Motorola has you covered. Unboxing this real quick, you get a slim box with not much in it. You got a USB-C charging cable and the user manual. The usual, but there is no charger nor a case included in the box. Alright, on to the specs, and you can spot quite a few differences between the Razr and the Razr Plus. The base Razr model has a weaker processor, while the Plus has last year's flagship chipset. The base version also only has 8 GB of RAM versus 12 on the Plus. Then the camera setup is different, the Razr opting for an ultra-wide lens as its secondary, and the Razr Plus going for a 2x telephoto lens instead. And also, interestingly, the base model has a nearly 10% bigger battery than the Plus, 4500 mAh versus 4000, but it has slower charging speeds. Alright, on to the actual experience. The hinge overall feels quite similar on all 3 models, and when you open up the base Razr, there is almost no crease, which is great. And the other difference is the slightly smaller cover screen on the base model, 3.6 inches versus 4 inches on the other ones. And that, I think, is worth remembering. I do notice the difference. It's not a deal breaker, but it's just a bit nicer having that larger screen. Another thing is the base version doesn't get bright enough outdoors, and you have to squint your eyes to see the screen on a bright sunny day. Alright, what about the rest? The performance? Well, first, here are the numbers, and you can see that CPU performance is basically unchanged from the previous year model, and there is still a very big gap between the base model and the Ultra. Unfortunately, I can kind of notice this in real life use as well. You can often see a bit of stutter. It's not too bad, but it is noticeable. But the good news is that in gaming, the Dimensity 7400X does not heat up too much, which was a problem on previous Razr phones, so it's a decent experience if you're not playing the most demanding games. Alright, we mentioned one big issue on this phone, so let's get right into it. It's the camera. You have 2 cameras on board, a 50 megapixel main one and a 13 megapixel ultra wide one. And the quality is, oh, how should I say it? Not great. It's passable, in perfect conditions. Outdoors with the greenery around, the colors are pleasing, but the loss of detail is noticeable even in these conditions. In lower light, the quality drops quite a bit. And the ultra-wide camera is, of course, a bit worse than the main camera, which is not great. And then the zoom quality, it is particularly bad. Even in 2x you see mushy detail, and I would even hesitate to go to 4x zoom. And it's a similar story for portraits. You have 24mm, 35mm and 50mm options, which are welcome, but then the detail is not enough, and the overall images don't look great. Here are a few selfies captured on the Razr and the Razr Ultra for comparison as well. Now, you also get 4K video quality, which is nice, but we noticed that switching between the main and ultra-wide lenses was very slow. Here's a video sample. Alright, and if you go right there, we can see how these phones perform in a slightly darker environment, which is behind me, and switching to the ultra-wide camera, which, let's move a little bit closer here. Let's see if there is a difference in darker environments between the Ultra and the base Razr. Alright. Okay, but what about battery life? With a 4500 mAh battery, the base Razr has a lot of capacity, and this results in some solid battery numbers. Flip phones typically are not the longest lasting ones, but this phone lasts quite a while. And for charging, 30-watt wire charging speeds, still faster than what you get on the more expensive Galaxy Flip, and the Razr also supports 15-watt wireless charging. Alright, so who is this base model Razr for? At $700, this is still not a budget phone, but it's much cheaper than the premium versions like the Ultra or the Plus. If you just want a flip phone that looks good and is okay for base tasks, plus one that has almost no crease, this one will do. But the camera quality is honestly disappointing. We know many $500 slab phones that take much better photos and videos than this one. The occasional stutter in the interface and the screen that doesn't get bright enough outdoors should also be considered. Now, if you're fine with all these trade-offs, we still advise you to wait for deals to get this at a lower price, where it will make more sense. Now let me know your experience with Razr phones in the comments below, and thanks for watching.